Why do so many older adults keep waking up at 3 a.m.? Is it just a normal part of aging? Or could your body be trying to send you a message? And what if those quiet, sleepless hours hold hidden clues about your health and well-being? Have you ever found yourself lying awake in the still darkness of the night, staring at the ceiling, wondering why your body won't let you rest? For many older adults, waking up around 3 a.m. isn't just an occasional problem, it's a familiar, frustrating pattern. You might wonder if it's stress, hormones, or simply getting older, but the truth is, it's far more complex than that, and far more common than most people realize. In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful reasons why older adults keep waking up at 3 a.m. and what those early morning awakenings might really be telling you about your body, your mind, and your overall health. Each reason reveals something deeper, something that connects not just to your sleep, but to your life experience, your emotions, and the natural changes that come with aging. These explanations aren't surface-level guesses. They're grounded in real science, rooted in physiology, psychology, and the biological rhythms of aging that often go unnoticed. We'll talk about shifting hormones, disrupted sleep cycles, health challenges, and even emotional or social factors that quietly affect your rest without you realizing it. And we'll approach it in an honest, compassionate, and empowering way, because your sleep deserves understanding, not frustration. So if you've ever caught yourself waking up around 3 a.m. and asking, "Why now? What's happening to me?" You're not alone. Stay with us until the end, because what you'll learn here might not only help you sleep better, but also help you better appreciate the remarkable way your body continues to adapt even as you age. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Reduced melatonin production. One of the clearest reasons why older adults often wake up in the middle of the night, usually around 3 a.m., is the natural decline in melatonin production that comes with age. Melatonin is the hormone responsible for regulating the body's internal clock, the rhythm that tells you when it's time to sleep and when it's time to wake. It plays a crucial role in helping you drift into sleep and, more importantly, stay asleep through the night. When you were younger, your body produced a steady and generous amount of melatonin each evening, allowing you to experience long, deep stretches of uninterrupted rest. But as the years pass, the body gradually produces less of it, and this subtle shift can make a noticeable difference in the quality of your sleep. You might still fall asleep without trouble at the beginning of the night, especially after a full or relaxing day. However, as the early hours approach, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m., your natural melatonin levels may drop too low to keep you in that deep, restorative state. You might wake up not because of a noise, a dream, or discomfort, but simply because your brain begins to drift back toward wakefulness. Without enough melatonin to sustain rest, your body interprets it as a signal that it's time to be alert again, even though the night is far from over. This isn't something you're doing wrong, and it doesn't mean your body is failing. It's a natural part of aging, a shift in internal chemistry that changes how your body manages sleep. But environmental factors can make this decline more pronounced. Even subtle sources of light, like a street lamp glowing through the curtains, the flicker of a digital clock, or a hallway light slipping under the door, can suppress melatonin production even further. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to small environmental triggers, and those minor disturbances can suddenly make that 3 a.m. awakening feel even more frustrating. Take, for instance, Harold, a 72-year-old who always thought of himself as a solid sleeper. Recently, however, he's been waking up around 3:15 a.m. most nights, wide awake, alert, and not the least bit anxious. It's as if his body has decided that the night is over, even though he knows it isn't. He doesn't feel restless or upset, just awake, caught between the calm of night and the pull of morning. Once Harold realized that his early wake-ups weren't a failure or a sign of something wrong, but rather a natural part of aging linked to melatonin changes, everything began to shift. He stopped blaming himself for sleepless nights and started making small but meaningful adjustments to his routine. He began keeping his bedroom darker, eliminating bright lights and screen time at least an hour before bed. He also started taking short evening walks, allowing the natural rhythm of sunset and movement to gently guide his body back into balance. These simple habits helped send a clear signal to his brain that it was still nighttime, that rest was still needed. Although Harold still occasionally wakes up before dawn, he's learned to work with his body instead of against it. Understanding what's truly happening inside can be life-changing. When you realize that waking up early isn't necessarily your fault, but rather a normal chemical shift in the body, you begin to approach sleep differently, not with frustration, but with patience and compassion. That's the real power of awareness. It transforms self-blame into understanding and gives you the tools to make wiser choices about how you care for yourself at night. Number 2. Shifted sleep cycle and advanced sleep phase. Another major reason why older adults often find themselves waking up around 3 a.m. is a natural shift in the body's internal clock, a phenomenon known as advanced sleep phase. As we age, our circadian rhythms gradually move forward, which means we start feeling sleepy earlier in the evening and naturally wake up earlier in the morning. You might notice yourself drifting off during a late-night movie or waking up before sunrise without any alarm, even on days when you'd prefer to stay in bed. This shift isn't just about routine or personal habits. It's deeply connected to biology. Over time, the body's rhythm slowly advances, nudging your sleep window to start and end earlier than it used to. In your younger years, your internal clock likely matched a later bedtime, allowing you to stay up comfortably and wake up closer to sunrise. But as you grow older, that rhythm begins to move ahead of the day's natural light cycle. The result? You might find yourself wide awake long before dawn, even when your mind still longs for a few more hours of rest. You might find yourself falling asleep around 9 p.m. or even earlier without meaning to. And by the time 3 a.m. comes around, your body has already completed most of its natural sleep cycle. That's why you may wake up in the middle of the night feeling wide awake, as if your rest were finished, even though it's still completely dark outside. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It simply means your body is following a new internal schedule. Think of it like a clock that has slowly, almost imperceptibly, reset itself over time. Each passing year nudges the hands forward just a little more, until one day you realize your rhythm no longer matches what it once was. This change isn't harmful. It's simply part of the body's natural aging process. But it can become frustrating when your lifestyle, family routine, or personal habits don't align with this newly advanced rhythm. There's also a quiet psychological side to this shift. Many older adults live in calmer households or spend more time alone, and that peaceful environment often encourages the body to wind down earlier in the evening. Without the constant noise, conversations, or daily busyness that once kept you awake later, your system begins its nightly shutdown sooner than before. If you're retired or no longer following a structured daily schedule, the absence of external time cues, like meetings, commutes, or social activities, can make this internal change even more pronounced. Without those familiar signals that used to mark the passage of your day, your body's natural rhythm starts to drift earlier and earlier. Take, for example, Charles, a 68-year-old retiree. He usually eats dinner around 5:30 p.m., watches television for a short while, and then heads to bed not long after. By 9 p.m., he's asleep, and by 3 a.m., his body is ready to wake up, completely alert and clear-headed. At first, he worried it was insomnia or a health problem, but when he learned about advanced sleep phase, he realized his sleep wasn't broken at all. It was simply on a different schedule. Charles began to make small adjustments to his evenings to gently shift his internal clock. He started reading under a warm, dim light, taking short walks after dinner, and occasionally calling his daughter for a brief chat before bed. These subtle social and sensory cues helped stretch his sleep window, allowing his wake-up time to move closer to morning. Over time, those small, mindful changes made his nights more restful and his mornings more aligned with the daylight hours. The result was remarkable: fewer 3 a.m. awakenings and a deeper sense of connection with his daily rhythm. This natural shift in the sleep cycle is something many older adults experience, yet few ever talk about. Once you understand what's happening, so much of the guilt, frustration, or confusion surrounding sleep begins to fade away. You start to see your body not as something that's betraying you, but as something that's simply changing, adapting to a new phase of life. So, if you often find yourself waking up around 3 a.m., and it feels as though you've already had a full night's rest, chances are your body has simply moved to an earlier internal schedule. And once you recognize that, you can begin shaping your evenings and mornings in ways that support your natural rhythm rather than working against it. If you're still watching this video and these insights are resonating with you, feel free to comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content designed to inform, empower, and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Physical discomfort and health-related interruptions. Another very common reason why older adults find themselves waking up around 3 a.m. is the body's natural response to physical discomfort or underlying health conditions that tend to become more noticeable during the quiet hours of the night. As we age, the likelihood of dealing with chronic conditions or subtle health issues increases, and many of these can quietly disrupt sleep without setting off obvious alarms. They appear gently, almost silently, perhaps as a stiff joint, a full bladder, or a dull ache in the back. Yet these small discomforts are often enough to pull you out of a deep, restful state. Conditions like arthritis, for instance, can make staying in one position for several hours increasingly uncomfortable. You may not feel the strain when you first drift off to sleep, but after hours of stillness, the pressure builds, and those aches begin to whisper, eventually nudging you awake right in the middle of the night. For some people, nighttime acid reflux can become a major culprit behind those unexpected 3 a.m. awakenings, especially if dinner is eaten too late or if they lie down too soon afterward. That familiar burning sensation or pressure in the chest can creep in quietly, pulling you from sleep just as your body is trying to recover. Even small things, like a dry mouth, a leg cramp, or a subtle change in room temperature, can disrupt your rest during the early morning hours, when your body's defenses are more sensitive and less forgiving than they once were. One of the most common physical reasons older men wake up around 3 a.m. is the urge to urinate. As we grow older, the bladder gradually loses elasticity, which means it can't hold as much fluid as it used to. The need to relieve it comes on faster and more frequently. During the day, you might not notice this as much because you're distracted and active, but in the quiet stillness of the night, that sensation becomes impossible to ignore. And once you get up and move around, even for something as simple as a quick trip to the bathroom, your body can shift from deep rest to a state of light alertness. That small interruption can make it much harder to fall back asleep afterward. Medications can also play a surprising role. Many older adults take daily prescriptions for conditions like blood pressure, heart health, or chronic pain. While these medicines are essential, they often carry side effects that can quietly interfere with sleep, causing more frequent urination, subtle changes in body temperature, or heightened sensitivity to sound and light. You may not even realize the connection between your medication and your disrupted sleep until you start keeping track of your nighttime habits or someone points it out. Take Eleanor, for example, a 76-year-old woman who had always been a light sleeper. Over the past year, she began waking up consistently around 3:30 a.m. For months, she assumed it was simply part of aging. But when she finally discussed it with her doctor, she discovered that one of her prescribed medications was altering her hydration levels, which increased her nighttime trips to the bathroom. With her doctor's guidance, she made small adjustments to her dosage and evening routine, and over time, her sleep gradually began to stabilize. With her doctor's guidance, Eleanor adjusted the timing of her medication, made a few lifestyle changes, and began noticing a real difference. She now wakes up less frequently during the night and, when she does, she finds it much easier to fall back asleep. The key takeaway here is that these nighttime awakenings don't mean your body is failing. In fact, they're often signs that your body is still working exactly as it should, responding, adjusting, and communicating with you in subtle ways. Your body isn't betraying you. It's alerting you. It's reminding you to pay attention, to care for yourself more intentionally. These small signals can guide you toward better habits, more informed choices, and a deeper sense of trust in your own awareness. Waking up at 3 a.m. may seem inconvenient or even frustrating, but it can also be a quiet invitation, an opportunity to listen, to reflect, and to make small adjustments that support both better health and more restorative rest. Number 4. Lifestyle habits that shift your sleep rhythm. Another powerful, yet often overlooked reason older adults find themselves awake at 3 a.m. lies in long-standing lifestyle patterns. Over time, small daily habits and routines can slowly reshape the body's internal rhythm without you even realizing it. Many older adults naturally begin eating dinner earlier, winding down sooner in the evening, and engaging in less physical activity during the day. These subtle adjustments accumulate over the years and send gentle but consistent signals to your body, suggesting that night should begin earlier, which, in turn, causes your wake-up time to move earlier as well. When your days become quieter and less structured, especially after retirement, your body no longer receives the same external cues it once depended on, things like commuting, running errands, or completing stimulating mental or physical tasks. Without those cues, the body's sleep-wake cycle begins to drift forward, often without warning. A calm, dimly lit evening with minimal activity or conversation can trigger your brain to produce melatonin earlier in the night, gently lulling you towards sleep even before you've realized that the clock has barely passed 9 p.m. And naturally, when you fall asleep earlier, your body completes its rest earlier, leading to those early morning awakenings that seem to come out of nowhere. Waking up in those quiet, pre-dawn hours, often right around 3 a.m., can feel strange, especially when the world around you is still fast asleep. But part of the reason lies in the subtle relationship between food timing and sleep quality. Eating dinner earlier in the evening, while generally beneficial for digestion and overall health, can sometimes create an unintended effect. When there's a long gap between dinner and bedtime, your blood sugar may dip slightly during the night. You might not consciously feel hungry, but that small fluctuation can still be enough to nudge your body out of deep sleep. Caffeine can play a role as well. Even a single cup of coffee or tea consumed in the early afternoon can linger in your system far longer than you might expect, especially as your metabolism naturally slows with age. Its lingering effects can make your sleep lighter, more sensitive to small noises or temperature changes, and more prone to sudden awakenings in the early morning hours. Take Walter, for instance, a 74-year-old who had recently retired. Over time, subtle lifestyle shifts began creeping into his daily routine. His days became less structured, and his evenings grew quieter. He started eating supper around 5 p.m., often dozing off in his recliner while watching the evening news, and heading to bed before 9 p.m. most nights. Without realizing it, his entire schedule had shifted earlier by several hours, and before long, he found himself waking up around 3 a.m., completely alert and confused as to why he was awake before even the birds began to sing. After reflecting on his habits, Walter made a few gentle adjustments. He added a short afternoon walk to boost his energy later in the day, spent more time reading under brighter light in the evening, and made an effort to avoid napping after dinner. These simple but mindful changes gradually helped push his natural sleep window a bit later. Soon, his body settled into a rhythm that felt more balanced and better aligned with his ideal wake-up time. What's truly remarkable is how often we underestimate the power of routine. Our bodies thrive on rhythm, daily patterns that act as invisible signals, quietly telling the brain when it's time to rest and when it's time to rise. But as those signals fade or shift with age, our internal clock can lose its bearings, leading to earlier awakenings and more fragmented sleep. Recognizing and gently rebalancing those cues can make all the difference in restoring a more peaceful, consistent night's rest. By becoming more aware of these patterns and making small, intentional adjustments, it's entirely possible to guide your body back toward a more balanced, restorative sleep rhythm. You may not eliminate every 3 a.m. awakening, but you can certainly reduce their frequency and feel more refreshed in the morning. Awareness is often the first and most powerful step toward lasting improvement. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support allows us to continue creating thoughtful, evidence-based content designed to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. Emotional and psychological restlessness. Sometimes, waking up at 3 a.m. has less to do with what's happening in the body and more to do with what's happening in the mind. As we grow older, emotions that were once tucked away beneath the busyness of daily routines begin to surface, often in the quiet stillness of the night. During those pre-dawn hours when the world is calm and distractions are few, unspoken worries, lingering regrets, or long-forgotten memories can quietly rise to the surface. You may find yourself awake, not because of discomfort or noise, but because your mind is gently sorting through thoughts that have been waiting for attention, reflections on the past, questions about the future, or emotions that never found their full expression. This kind of restlessness feels different from the anxiety that strikes in younger years. It's subtler, softer, almost contemplative, a gentle hum in the background rather than a wave of panic. It might feel as if something within you is unsettled, even if you can't quite name it. The mind, once freed from the constant demands of work and responsibility, finally has space to wander, to revisit old relationships, past choices, cherished moments, and even unresolved goodbyes. And when the body no longer races through busy days, those quiet reflections grow louder in the stillness of night. Loneliness can also play a powerful role here. As time passes, social circles naturally become smaller. Children move away, friends grow preoccupied with their own lives, and familiar routines change or fade. The days may still be filled with movement and light, but as evening falls, the silence settles in, and with it comes an awareness of the emotional distance that wasn't as noticeable before. This kind of loneliness doesn't always arrive with a heavy weight. Sometimes it appears quietly, as a soft longing for connection or a gentle ache for someone to talk to when the house feels still and silent. Take Gloria, for example, an 80-year-old widow who lives a peaceful, independent life. During the day, she fills her hours with small joys, tending her garden, calling her grandchildren, and watching her favorite shows. But when 3 a.m. arrives, she often wakes up, her thoughts drifting back to the moments she once shared with her late husband. Sometimes, her mind turns to the small worries she keeps tucked away during the day, the ones she doesn't speak aloud but still carries in her heart. At first, Gloria assumed there was something wrong with her sleep, that perhaps age or stress was to blame. But over time, she began to understand that her early awakenings weren't about broken rest at all. They were her heart's quiet way of asking to be heard. To comfort herself, she began keeping a small journal by her bedside. When she wakes up in the middle of the night, she writes down whatever's on her mind. It doesn't have to be perfect, just honest words, small reflections, or fleeting memories. She also created a gentle evening ritual, spending a few minutes listening to soft music or writing a short note to a friend before bed. These small acts of connection gave her emotions a place to rest, easing her thoughts and allowing her to fall back asleep with a calmer heart. The truth is, the human heart doesn't follow a strict schedule. It remembers what it wants to remember. It asks the questions it needs to ask. And sometimes it does all of this at 3 a.m. when the rest of the world is quiet enough for it to finally be heard. But that isn't a flaw, it's a sign of depth. When you find yourself waking up in the stillness of the night, feeling thoughtful or reflective, it may be a quiet reminder that you carry a lifetime of wisdom waiting to be acknowledged. Every joy, every heartbreak, every lesson you've experienced has shaped not just your memories, but the person you've become. Rather than viewing these awakenings as something that needs to be fixed, what if you approached them with a little curiosity and compassion? Ask yourself, what is my mind trying to tell me? What feelings are asking to be heard? What part of me might need a little grace, even in the dark? Sometimes the most meaningful kind of rest doesn't come from ignoring these moments, but from honoring them. In doing so, you may not only find deeper sleep, but also a greater understanding of who you are in this season of life. As we come to the end of this video, take a quiet moment to reflect on what you've just heard. What resonated with you most? Was it the subtle shift in your body's internal clock? The gentle changes in your health? Or perhaps something deeper? An emotional rhythm that only emerges when the world is still? Each of the 5 reasons we've explored offers a unique way to understand your early morning awakenings. And none of them mean that something is wrong or broken. In fact, they reveal the opposite, that your body and mind are still working, still adjusting, still responding to the natural flow of aging and life itself. There is a quiet strength in understanding what your body is trying to communicate, especially during those peaceful hours before dawn. Rather than viewing your 3 a.m. awakenings as a burden, you might begin to see them as messages, gentle signals reminding you to listen a little more closely to your body, your habits, and your heart. You're not alone in this experience, and you're certainly not the only one searching for clarity and peace. With awareness comes understanding, and with understanding comes the power to make small but meaningful changes that lead to better rest, greater comfort, and a deeper connection to your own natural rhythm. So tonight, if you find yourself awake at 3 a.m., take a deep breath. Know that your body is not failing you. It's simply speaking to you in its own quiet way. Listen to it, trust it, and let that understanding bring you closer to the peaceful, restorative sleep you deserve. If you've recognized yourself in any of these reasons today, remember this: you're not simply getting older, you're evolving. With that evolution comes a beautiful opportunity to rest more intentionally, to care for your body and mind more gently, and to greet each new morning with a deeper sense of peace and understanding. Growing older doesn't mean losing control. It means learning to move in harmony with your body's natural rhythms and appreciating the wisdom that comes with time. Each stage of life brings its own lessons, and this one invites you to slow down just enough to truly listen to yourself, to your needs, and to the quiet signals your body sends. Perhaps what feels like restlessness at 3 a.m. is really an invitation to reconnect with your health, your habits, and your heart. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking this time to reflect. We'd truly love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing that resonated with you the most, or one small change you plan to make after watching this video. Your thoughts and stories mean a great deal to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us motivation and encouragement to keep creating valuable content that informs and inspires. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Your support helps us continue our mission to bring you thoughtful, research-based insights that empower healthier, happier living at every age. Wishing you good health, peace, and happiness always. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more inspiring content about senior wellness and healthy living.